Hi everyone. We're in yummy Russia today. We're going to be picking up some things to support our Ukrainian Russian friends, and I feel we gotta bring up some topics here. There's some pretty amazing stuff going on, historic things that are going to impact us here in Canada and the West and throughout the world. 2 days ago, Putin announced that he was going to be demanding, requiring oil for Ruble, the Russian ruble. This is pretty significant development. It's completely undermining the whole Western sanctions. It's going to undermine the U.S. reserve currency. It's going to allow Russia to be more independent from these Western sanctions and Western threats to their economy. It's an economic war. There is a definite shift to a multipolar world going on. So we see, Russia, China are being pushed together. Ukraine is not even a country. Ukraine is Russia. There you go. Yeah, look at the history of that. And it's a completely corrupt country that's exploited by a lot of these Western globalists. Hunter Biden is involved in there, one of his investment companies. It's quite sick. He's tied to the bioweapons in there. But what Putin's doing is quite brilliant with the ruble. It's undermining the U.S. reserve currency. This is a big deal. It's going to undermine the euro. All these sanctions are backfiring, and you know who's losing? The everyday person in the West. Inflation is going through the roof. We can look at the gasoline prices. We can look at the oil prices. Look at UK. Inflation was at 6.2%. Right? So we can look at Canada. Inflation is close to 6%. We know in the US it's over 7% now. Right? So this is all it's all backfiring. And I looked into Russia. They've been planning, they've been dealing with this. They knew it was coming. The debt to GDP ratio in Russia is merely around 17%. 17%, can you believe that? And I contrast this to the US, which is just riddled in debt. It's over 108% to GDP right now. Canada, just an offshoot of the US, a puppet offshoot, is around 104%. Russia's is at 17%. Biden, the globalists surrounding Biden and Biden himself were talking about going after Russian gold. That's all talk. Russian gold is in the Russian, the Bank of Russia, in the vaults. And Russia they've been so fiscally responsible. They've been just saving money. They built up a reserve of 600 billion. Half of that's frozen by the West, which is completely undermining the financial fiat system in the West. It's sending a message to countries like China, India, Brazil, other countries that they can't rely on the U.S. currency. This is unbelievable what's going on. We're living in history now. There's a historic shift going on, and it's away from the U.S., a unipolar world to a multipolar world. Russia's going to form its own trading bloc of countries that are going to work with it. It could be Turkey, Hungary, India. India's already doing it. They're already talking about trading oil for either the rupee or the ruble. It's happening. Rio, yeah, and that's one of the great tragedies here. These Ukrainian people are completely getting used. We looked into Zelensky. It's really sick, the corruption. He's been mentioned in the Panama Papers, the Pandora Papers, setting up shell companies. And then he's buying expensive property in the UK, like three really expensive properties. Apparently he has a $35 million mansion in Florida. Uh, and then, then we could talk about the neo-Nazis there, the biolabs. We put up documents about it. It's really sick, the corruption. And I don't know about you, it undermines everything that at least I stand for. I know NCA, about hard work, you earn your way and be productive, but all this corruption is it shows a really dark side of what's going on, and I hope we can hold them accountable. The ban to Russian media, it's funny because the World War I, World War II, we're just reading that comment there. Yeah, they've been attacking Russia for so long. This narrative is worn out, but do not underestimate what's going on with the ruble. The EU was saying, I got to add this comment. The EU is saying, forget it. We're not going to give you the ruble for the gas we're giving you. Well, fine. Russia will shut off the gas to Europe. We'll see how you like that when you can't heat your homes. So they got them between a rock and a hard place, and as far as I know, militarily, we've been following it, and things are moving along nicely. They've been very strategic. They've been taking out all the supply lines, the Russians, and hitting all the military sites. And Mariupol, they're about to. I think they've taken over that city. At least the Chechens are in there on the ground mopping it up. So they'll clean out that city, and the Donbass area. They're about to take out the Ukrainian military there, if not already. So this is a disaster for these Western globalists. Their sanctions have failed. They're hurting their own people. And militarily, Russia is going to achieve all its objectives. So we'll see how far it goes. I hope they take out. Zelensky. That guy is so corrupt, and he needs to be taken out. I hope he ends up in Siberia or something. But I can only hope that. But there's a lot of sources out there. But I have to emphasize that this historic shift in our world it's so profound. What's going on with this standing up to U.S. reserve currency and the ruble. And it was quite brilliant. I have to mention too, the Russian central bank has been quite brilliant in dealing with this. As soon as they leveled those sanctions and took them out of SWIFT and everything, well, Joe, open your mind. These are facts, but they took them out of SWIFT. Inflation in Russia shot up to like 23-24%. The central bank, you know what they did right away? They increased the interest rates up to 20%. It's high, but inflation is now back down to 9%. So these sanctions are having no impact. Well, Joe, get a life. It looks like you're caught up in the media, but it is what it is. NCA's taken a neutral position. Russia's just looking after its national sovereignty, its national security, whether you like it or not. So this is what's getting around. Yeah, definitely get educated. You're caught up in the media if you think Putin is the bad guy, the villain, and all this. He's actually been quite brilliant, I have to say, and I'm really impressed the way they're handling this. It's unbelievable. It's like the sanctions are completely backfiring, and what else? Militarily they've been strategic, and they apparently this is this classic technique of the Russian military going back all the way to World War I. How they play it out, and they take out the supply lines, they take out the military installations, and they win the war of attrition that way, and that's what they're doing. The Ukrainian militaries, they're basically surrounded in Donbass. Mariupol, Chechens are just mopping up, as I said, so it's only a matter of time before the nationalists, Ukrainian nationalists, are cleaned out of there. But Carolyn's asking where I'm from. I'm kind of embarrassed to say where I'm from. I'm from Canada, but unless she's talking to someone else. But we got a real mess here. We got a real mess here that we got to deal with. But Europe's in big trouble. Europe is in absolute big trouble now. The euro is just going to get whacked, you know, and they don't know whether they're coming and going. They got that massive bureaucracy in Brussels, and all these globalists have taken over that thing, but we'll have to see what happens. Yeah, Trudeau is a puppet. He's an absolute disgrace, but he is reflective of the globalist establishment in Canada. Mistake not. Whether Trudeau's in power, any other establishment, it doesn't matter. Please do not lose sight of that fact. You know, I can't stomach Trudeau. He's just right. He's so phony. You know, they were going on about the neo-Nazi like flags and the truckers. Remember that? And it turns out that they've been supporting neo-Nazis in Ukraine for over a decade. Like, the hypocrisy is absolutely stunning here. And here's Gerald there. Excellent stuff, Gerald. I'm just reading his comment there. They've surrounded the best Ukrainian troops in Donbass. Yep, according to my information as well. It's just a matter of time. They will be killed because they are mercenaries, not soldiers. There you go. And the Western media is starting to prime the American public, the North American public, the Western public about this, of eventual setbacks in Ukraine, because they've been pushing the success of the Ukraine military, and it's all been just propaganda. But reality is going to set in. We need investigative journalism. Paulette, excellent. But people should be really disgusted at what's going on, and I don't know about you. It is what Russia's doing is fantastic. If you're not a globalist, you don't believe in this NWO and what these people are doing, it's fantastic to fight against this reserve currency, which has been abused. It's politicized. And these globalists have basically shot themselves in the foot. So they've been completely outmatched by Putin and his administration there. Completely, you know, if this was a chess match, it's checkmate over. But we felt we should talk about this today because please don't underestimate what's going on now, historically, geopolitically, and in terms of just basic trade in the world now. It's really shifted, and this is only going to facilitate more inflation. And we don't know if there's a depopulation agenda going on, because apparently 50% of the wheat and a lot of the food products from Ukraine and Russia are going to Asia and Africa. So there's going to be severe impact, especially in Africa. So we're going to have to keep an eye out for that. But this ruble thing is brilliant. The central bank in Russia is, the lady running that is brilliant, and Russia's prepared. They have very little debt. They've kept the inflation in check, which is amazing. And now they're demanding rubles for gas. And if Europe doesn't play, they'll just shut off the gas. So we'll have to see what happens. Inflation is really bad, everyone. It's going to ramp up next month, as you know, with these gasoline, the oil prices. It's gonna ramp up, and then the food prices are going to go up. So Hey, Michelle, I'm just encouraging people to be careful. Careful with your money because things are going to get a lot tougher. And we're going to do another video later today. We're going to check out some of these deployments related to 5G. But what do we do, Louise asks? Be fiscally responsible. Just try to be fiscally responsible. We're on the cusp of a major recession right now with this inflation. See, the thing is, in Russia, you know, with the inflation, they could increase interest rates like that. They went right up to 20%, and that's hard on people who have loans and businesses who want to get money. But because they've been so fiscally responsible, they've been saving their money, they've been able to do that. We can't do that. These central banks are handcuffed. Inflation is going through the roof. It's complete corruption, the money creation, and we put up the M2 money chart, and they're printing like crazy. Where do you think all this money is for the arms for Ukraine? They're just sending over there. Russia's blowing up the convoys, or, you know, a lot of this stuff is ending up in the black market, or who knows where it's ending up. But and Faye's saying buy silver, have it in your hand. Yes, and look at Russia. Look what they did. They have vaults full of gold, and that's for their security, Faith. And they're not the only ones. There's a lot of central banks that have been loading up on gold. China has. So gold is money, silver is money, and it's not too late to buy. The prices have shot up, so it's not too late to get that. They say silver is the poor man's gold, but it will, you know, it's supposed to shoot up, especially with this, you know, the EV and all that stuff. There's a lot of silver that's used in solar panels, so it will go up. Could be affected by a recession, but in terms of its commodity aspect, it should go up. But this is incredible what's going on in the world right now, and it's amazing. Russia, like, they're really leading the way in this, and this vilification of them is unacceptable. But it's going to come full circle, and that's what we're starting to see. It's coming full circle. Britain's in big trouble, and they've been pushing unbelievable stuff. They've been so belligerent, and it turns out, you know, the inflation in Britain now is 6.2%. Get this, and I just learned this today, that their standard of living now, it's dropping down to the lowest levels when they first started recording it in 1956. But UK is in big trouble. It relies on a financial center, and it's in real big trouble now. So this is all coming back. Faith, yeah, precious metals, actually owning them. There's a lot of retail outlets you can go to if you go online, and it's not too late to buy some, you know. It's going to be apocalyptic. Yeah, there's so much, Michelle, coming, and we haven't even talked about the Great Reset, the Fourth Industrial Revolution, the 5G, but I'm going to do another video today to bring people up to speed on that. I heard U.S. coins will be worth more and paper money. Yeah, exactly, Brenda. And this is being facilitated by Russia by demanding ruble for gas. Remember that. This is completely undermining the U.S. reserve currency. And in our opinion, it's been abused. It's been politicized now. There's massive debt in the U.S. It keeps growing. Now we're at 30.3 trillion, I should add, in debt in the U.S. And they just keep spending more and spending more. And what I find particularly disturbing, these globalist political leaders in the West, all they're focused on is the Ukraine. They couldn't give a damn about the everyday person on the street. You never hear them talking about inflation and trying to deal with that. They're, you know, these people live in another world. Just like Zelensky, he's got his $35 million mansion in the U.S. Who paid for that? Apparently, a couple Ukrainian oligarchs were behind that. You know, he's got property in the UK. You know, it's sick. It's sick what's going on. Apparently they were testing on Ukrainian soldiers, anthrax, other things. The corruption is quite sickening over there. It's a sham, Kenneth. I totally agree. But we need to call it out. We don't have to be a sham. We can call it out. But we're going to need a real kind of renewal, especially in Canada, even the US. Europe is in free fall right now. I'm very concerned about where they're headed with that massive bureaucracy, and Britain's in big trouble after exiting from Europe. So it's going to turn into a third world state before we know it, and there could be a lot of spin-off from that, crime and conflict within that country. But this is the reality. It's starting to come in, you know, and like I said, the Russians aren't stupid. They've been preparing. They have very little debt. They're building up their networks. They have beautiful oil and gas, which is obviously still relevant. And you got countries like India that are paying for it. And whether it's in ruble or rupee, which is quite amazing. So this is the world we're heading into. Yeah, Richard, it will hit the fan. The markets are in turmoil. We're going to keep posting on the markets, but they don't know whether they're coming is going. Inflation is just getting rampant, so hot. These central banks they're caught. Literally, they're caught between, you know, do we deal with inflation like Russia just did? Massive increase in interest rates? They can't, because their debt levels are so high that their payments, debt service payments, are going to be not affordable, and they keep adding more and more debt. So it's getting pretty scary. The only good side to this, it's kind of slowing down this fourth industrial revolution, because that's very expensive to implement all the infrastructure. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But it's very concerning. Billboard campaigns to get more eyes on what our government is involved. Yeah, and this has been going, Sean, this has been going on for decades and decades. Please remember that, you know, this isn't anything new. 1992, the Conservatives under Mulroney adopted UN Agenda 21. This is the global framework for what's going on. These globalists live in another world. They're all schmoozing, you know, with their cocktails and stuff. They are not connected to the everyday person on the ground. And it's quite disgusting when you start to unpack everything that's going on. Yeah, Richard, Putin is a very smart man. He's not stupid. Oh yeah, he's completely... I saw a meme, I think it's relevant. It's kind of like Putin is playing chess and Biden is playing checkers. I don't know if you've seen that meme, but it's quite relevant. And I think these Western globalists have completely underestimated Russia. Yeah, the corruption is unbelievable, especially in Ukraine. And unfortunately, Ukrainian people, they're the main casualties, Michelle, of this. Hopefully, more awareness can be shown on it to help those people at least make better decisions going forward. But the corruption is unbelievable, and we'll have to keep watching. But we're expecting Russia to make significant advances in the next week, days, and then we'll have to see what they do from there, whether they expand to the Western Ukraine. I personally would like them to take out the Zelensky regime. That is a rancid, globalist sellout regime, and I personally would like to see a regime change in Ukraine. It'll be better for the people there. You can't have a globalist puppet in there in Ukraine if you want peace. Yeah, Louise, they keep pushing the war. I I couldn't believe what I was reading in it, and it's just not reality, and it's emotional, and it's what are they looking at? They're they're making as if the Russian military is carpet bombing everything, and that's a complete opposite. They've been completely strategic. They provided humanitarian corridors. You know, they're going after the bioweapon sites. They're going after all the military infrastructure, the mercenaries. Hey, so that's what's going on. We'll be in for World War III. Everything has been, yeah, it's possible, Edward. We'll see if it comes to that. That's going to be pretty horrific, but we'll see what these globalists want. Maybe that's their ticket way out of this. Child trafficking, everything. Yeah, Faith. I worked with Russians and saw this coming. Most lived in, yeah. Anyone who's been following it, but what a stand! What a stand! And these sanctions are completely coming full circle. And guess what? It's the everyday person that's getting impacted with the inflation. So we're going to keep documenting it. Russia, very brave, yeah. And very patient, Paul. They've been very patient. There's been so much rhetoric thrown at them, and they're just not biting into it. And what they're doing is actions on the ground that matter. Britain's doing all the talk, but Russia's doing the action, right? They're doing it militarily. They're responding economically to what's going on. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens with Europe. Right now they're saying, no, we're not going to pay ruble for gas. Well, fine. We'll turn off the gas. See how you like that, right? So, but let's not get caught up in the hate. And I'm at this Russian store today, and I'm gonna, as I committed, I'm gonna buy some more things and support these people and support local business. That's the best we can do. Get rid of the CI mercenaries. Yeah, he's doing a good job of that, Clarence. I've seen a number of reports. Some of these people are leaving literally with the tail between their legs. They think they're in some one of those video games, right? And they're seeing that this is anything but. Yeah, Tom's asking about the restrictions here. How do we get out of it? That's a good question, Tom. There could be, we'll have to see. I'm worried after the Ukraine conflict comes to an end, and eventually it will. We'll have to see when, but I'm worried that there may be some new lockdowns coming, but we'll have to see how that manifests. I guess all we can do is protest and stick to the facts of what's going on, Tom. And I don't trust any of these people in government. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been following Australia, but that's out of control. That conservative government in Australia is one of the worst in the West. They've been brutal on their people. They've been extremely belligerent to Russia. So they're just part of this whole globalist network that we're up against. Yeah, Sandra, you're right about that. And these neo-Nazis, Western operatives have been funding, equipping, training since 2014. That is a fact. We looked at reports about it. So this is evil NWO, as Paul Evans says, and Australia has China on their back door now. Yeah, we'll have to monitor that. I know they just signed a new security agreement with the US, Australia. They must be afraid. Come down to do some 5D readings. Yeah, I'll probably end up in jail in Australia if I went there. Andrew, they don't like the truth there, eh? But but Australians must be doing some great things if their government is reacting so harshly. 5G has to be destroyed. Yeah, we're going to do something later today on that, Annetta. But my main message today was this historical shift in what's going on with Russia demanding ruble payment for gas, oil. Another thing you're doing, I have to mention this, and that's towards unfriendly countries, but towards friendly countries, they're opening, whether it's China, let's deal in the yuan, let's deal in the ruble. If you're dealing with India, let's deal in the rupee, the ruble. Another thing they're saying, well, we will accept gold for payment for gas and oil. This is unbelievable. And this represents a historical shift away from the unipolar world of the U.S. reserve currency. So, in our opinion, that's a good thing. When there's one country controlling everything, we don't, it's better if it was multipolar. Crashing the dollar, it's already dropping, Paul. But this is historical. What's going on? Actually, they're accepting gold now for. It's just unbelievable. But you can't fault the Russians. The Western financial establishment has completely defaulted on their obligations to Russia. Completely defaulted. They froze half of their hard-earned assets, which is about 300 billion. They've actually froze that. They kicked a bunch of their banks out of the SWIFT system. They put all kinds of sanctions. So they basically shot themselves in the foot. So, no digital currency. Well, we'll have to see what happens in our multipolar world, Michelle. And if anything, there'll be competing digital currencies, which is probably a good thing rather than a single one. So, is Ruble crypto? As far as I know, it's not, Joanne. Though I'm sure the Russian central bank is working on something. But pretty amazing events going on. Yeah, the Australian government, I feel a lot of compassion and support for our Australian friends, what they have to put up with there. Yes, digital currency, that's going to be terrible. No one is free now. You see what's going on, what they're doing. Wow. Okay, we're going to go to our next site now. We can continue the conversation, but add your comments. Let us know what you think, if you agree with us about what's going on, and we will continue to provide updates. But mistake not of the historical impact of what's going on. Yeah, thank you, Paul. It's no problem. We're happy to do this. These are serious issues, and we need to have real conversations about them so we can make the best decisions going forward. This is impacting everyone now with the inflation and potential massive recession that's on the doorstep of that. So people are asking what they can do. I'm just going to emphasize again, be fiscally responsible, careful with your investments, and we're not going to advise to invest either way, but if you're interested in securing your wealth, precious metals is probably a good avenue to take. That's what the central banks are doing. They're all loading up on gold, right? They're not stupid. The Bank of Russia, the vaults are full of gold. They've been loading up on it because they know that has true historic value. Regardless of sanctions, you can't do anything about that value. If anything, it's going up. If you look at the gold prices, it's already above 1950 now. They're expecting over 2,000 in no time. So, but this is the truth. I'm not going to go into my investments, but But be very careful, everyone, and let's continue to call this out. But you know, I have to call out the Ukrainian people because they are suffering unimaginable. Just the average Ukrainian is suffering, but we've had some on our page and they're open and they've listened to some of our evidence, so that's really positive. So they have to have their own awakening, um, and we're wishing the best for them. But in our opinion, the best thing that could have happened was Russia going in there and just cleaning out these globalists, cleaning out these neo-Nazis, cleaning out these bioweapons, turning it into a neutral, peaceful country. Um, you know, Russia should be their major trading partner. They could be extremely prosperous country if they had leadership that would just get along with Russia. Russia's quite a powerful economic might in that region. Why not get along with it? It doesn't make sense. It's like Canada fighting with the U.S. It doesn't make sense. So this is these globalist infiltrators in Kiev that have taken over that country. And like I said, I hope Zelensky ends up in Siberia, locked away for a long, long time. He can end up in one of those gulags for all I care. That's how I feel about it. But I've been reading on the gulag, so I know quite a bit about it. I've been reading all the history of that. So, and it's like that Russian opposition leader. I'm not fooled. He's tied to the Open Society, George Soros. George Soros actually is involved with the biolabs as well, and that's been revealed as well. So the corruption, it's like an endless pit of darkness. But these stupid politicians in Europe, obviously Puppet Trudeau, Biden, the Biden admin, it's an absolute joke. People are going to have to rise up in the West. We can do a lot better than this. We don't have to be like this as people, right? The corruption is unacceptable, and it's not consistent with being a Western person, and we're going to have to continue to fight this. U.S., India, Saudi Arabia, Brazil, China, the alliance. Yeah, we'll have to see. I don't know about the U.S. there, but Turkey's in there. Hungary has been very supportive of what's going on. They've been strong. And Brazil, obviously Iran, Venezuela has obviously been under fire for decades just because it has oil. Thank you for sharing the truth. Our media station needs to be shut down. They are atrocious. They are full of lies and misinformation, Carolyn. Their whole purpose is to spread misinformation, manipulation, propaganda, and that's all they are. And it's a sign of, unfortunately, of some kind of demise of Western society. That media has become so corrupt. It should be an independent pillar that is a check on government. Instead, it's a force of government now. Putin led by demons? No, he's led by brains. He's got very smart people, and trust me, this is going to end up better for everyone in the end when they're finished what they're doing. And please go to other sources. There's a website called Brighton, very independent videos, and you can get great stuff there. I've been following this Greek guy who's very good, and Russia Truth is very good for getting information. I go to Sputnik online. I go to Russia Today. I go to all the sources for information. So please get informed, please get the facts, and I'll be doing a video later on 5G and we can talk about that issue. I want to wish everyone the best. No, that's just media propaganda, Amy. That's complete emotional propaganda. Putin, this is going back to 2014, uh, when the CIA, through the National Endowment of Democracy, orchestrated the coup in 2014. Come on. And they've been funding neo-Nazis, the biolabs, everything. So this is some kind of weird arrogance of NATO, the US, to keep encroaching on Russia. Russia is backed in the corner, and this is what you get. So, yeah, Keith, but you can, if you go to Russia Truth, you can watch RT on Rumble. There's a link. There's a link on their page. I've been watching it there. So if you get in there, that's a good source for information, and at least you can counter it to what's in the West. Like I said, I can't believe what's in the Western media. It's just not reality. But they're starting to change their tune because of the military success of the Russian military and the impact of the sanctions. Yeah, Michelle, we're going to be down there for that. We're planning to go to Vancouver to join, I guess, the protests against Mr. Bill Gates and his agenda with the DAB and all sorts of things. So we're going to be down there. That's on April 10th. Yeah, apparently RT in Canada has been banned, but maybe you can watch it here. We're watching it on Rumble. So I'm going to sign out now. I want to wish everyone the best, and let's keep sharing. And hopefully we can wake up more people and, just enjoy being in history.